Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the MMA Buzz, where today we're going to talk about why this fight is happening between Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. So these two will be meeting for a second time, headlining an already very stacked lineup, and we just got to go over it because it just doesn't make sense on why they're fighting each other again for a second time. There's really no big history other than the fact that they fought a couple of years ago, and that was back in August 17 of 2013. So a lot's changed since then. Conor McGregor has become the biggest UFC fighter of all time, has broken multiple gates, and is probably the most wealthiest fighter of all time from a UFC standpoint. Then you have Max Holloway, who's one of the featherweight goats and continues to be one of the biggest stars in UFC. There's no doubting that he will go down in the record books as one of the all-time greats. Conor McGregor's last win was back in 2020 against Donald Cerrone at UFC 246. And after that, he's fought Dustin Poirier two times back in 2021, in which he famously broke his leg, which makes you kind of want to think, like, why would he come back 5 years later after that and want to fight Max Holloway, who's still very active in the division? And it just doesn't seem like a fight that he should be taking, especially with somebody with that much experience. And he's had this long layoff. It always never goes good for any fighter when they have that much period of time inactive. So I just think that we have to take a deep dive into this and see what's really going on behind the scenes of this fight. Conor has publicly stated that he has about 2 fights left in his contract, in which he has to schedule a year apart from each other. Obviously, the UFC is going to try to keep him as long as possible. He's the moneymaker, right? He's the one that brings in the numbers. He brings in the money. And without him, the UFC is probably not going to reach the heights it did before or ever will. I personally think it's obvious that McGregor's just done with the UFC, right? He wants to finish his contract and he wants to explore other avenues. Conor is part owner of BKFC, in which I think as soon as he's done with this contract with the UFC, he's going to put all his focus into that, make a mega fight, probably even do the Nate Diaz fight, right? Because that's what everyone wants to see. I think it'd be a good way for him to end his legacy, and it would elevate BKFC to heights that it hasn't even gone to yet. So I think, in my personal opinion, that's what he's looking to do after the UFC. Now let's talk about what if McGregor wins this next Saturday against Max Holloway. If McGregor wins, I think the fight to make has to be Justin Gaethje, right? It's going to be for the lightweight title. Conor wants that fight. Gaethje wants that fight. The UFC can implement a championship clause to keep McGregor longer in this contract. It just makes the most business sense from a UFC standpoint, and from a fan's perspective, that's what a lot of people want to see. Another fight that I could see happening, but very unlikely, would be for the BMF belt against Charles Oliveira. Now let's talk, what if McGregor loses this fight? I think McGregor coming off a loss to Max Holloway, the most logical fight would have to be against Ilia Topuria. Topuria coming off his first career loss against Justin Gaethje at UFC Freedom 250, in which we don't even know what it's going to do for his career, if he's going to come back the same. But this would be a good tune-up fight for him, right? A lot of fans want to see this because they say that Ilia Topuria is Conor McGregor 2.0. I think this would be a great fight for both of them. Elevates Topuria, would also be a good send-off for McGregor. But I will say, if McGregor does lose that fight as well, both losses, his stock does go down. And I don't think he will be as big of a name as he was before. Obviously, his name is cemented forever in the legacy books, but I don't think going forward, his name value is going to be what it once was. Now let's talk, what if Max Holloway wins this fight? If Holloway wins this fight, I think the most logical fight to make is a rematch with Justin Gaethje. Obviously, he got brutally knocked out at UFC 300, and he wants to get that one back. But the only way for Max to get that is if he brutally knocks out Conor McGregor. It has to be a very spectacular knockout, which the odds are saying he's going to win. I think even Max realizes that he needs a really good knockout in order to impress the UFC and to cement his next place for the lightweight championship. If Max Holloway loses his fight to Conor McGregor, he just goes back to being the gatekeeper of the division, right? He was already a gatekeeper at featherweight, and he'll be a gatekeeper at lightweight. And there's a lot of killers coming up. His career is starting to wind down. He's obviously not the same as he was before after that loss to Ilia Topuria. He's coming off a loss to Charles Oliveira, and he has a unanimous win over Dustin Poirier. So hopefully he can get it done because the clock is ticking for Holloway. So that wraps up the video for today. Comment on what you guys think is going to happen with this fight, or what do you think the meaning behind this fight is. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.